Hey everyone, welcome to the Banter and Binges podcast.
I'm Gabby.
And I'm Quase. We are going to review a series that is near and dear. I would say most near and dear to my wife's heart.
Yes.
And it is Once Upon a Time.
Yes.
So, baby, why don't you go ahead and talk about your motivations for wanting to do a podcast about the show?
Okay. So recently, very recently, my husband became disabled. He's paraplegic, and we had to change a lot of things. And we decided, we were trying to figure out things to do together that don't involve things he can't physically do anymore. Like going to movies all the time, going out to eat. There's not very many disability-friendly, accessible places. So we wanted to do something together just for fun, just to do something. And we really got into watching TV. And I was like, we should do a podcast. That would be fun. It'd be something to do together. It'd be something to motivate us, keep us out of the bad thoughts and getting into our feelings too much, and it'll distract us. It'll be great. And I decided that we should revisit one of my favorite TV shows ever. It's Once Upon a Time. It's funny. It's cheesy. It's silly. It's
soapy.
It's soapy. It's so soapy. And I love it. I love this show. I've seen all of it.
Don't forget it's wrapped in a very beautiful Disney package.
It is. It is wrapped. And it has some of my favorite characters of all time. And there are off Disney characters. There are characters that are not Disney properties. And I think it's the best show ever. It's not missing anything.
Just to reemphasize that point, my wife watches the entire season every year.
At least 3 times a year. Like, I watch it on repeat to the point that even my son is like, "You're watching this again? Like, grow up."
Yeah.
Like, he's so over it.
Well, I teased her, of course. I'm like, okay, there is so much television, but it's like comfort food for my wife, and she loves it. And I watched it years ago when it first came out. But
You only watched to season 2, though, right?
Right. I didn't watch much of it. I don't know what took me away from watching the show, but I did abandon it. But I thought the idea was novel.
It's got really good bones. It gets a little wild. But it's got a really good structure.
And now, selling you guys on a primetime show with
ABC
Disney
show.
characters, ABC, and it's Disney characters and basically a primetime soap would probably be a reach to a lot of people. But when it first came out, it was incredibly popular.
Mm-hmm.
Gabby, do you want to tell some of the particulars about the show?
Okay, so it was an ABC soap opera, prime time. It ran for 7 seasons, from 2011 to 2018. It stars Jennifer Goodwin, which was my motivation to begin watching it. I love her, and as soon as I heard that she was on a new TV show, I was like, it doesn't matter what it's about, I gotta watch it.
She's a great actress.
And then I got pulled in by everyone else and kept watching. Like, she's not even my favorite character. Like, I just love it. She plays in it. Josh Dallas plays in it. Robert Carlyle is phenomenal. Lena Parrilla is phenomenal. I'd say Robert and Lena are probably the 2 most influential characters and actors and actresses in it.
Yeah, they carried a lot of weight.
Yes.
They carried a lot of weight, and once we get into describing the show. Um, and if you guys do give it a try along with us, you'll see what we mean. So, um, the show takes some risks. It's
Yeah.
not the Disney that you would be expecting.
It's
It's
not a kid show.
it is not necessarily for kids. There's definitely some adult themes. There's some mild violence. But there
No blood and
no
gore.
blood
And,
or
well, a
gore.
little bit of blood, but no
No
gore or anything
gore.
horror movie-ish.
Yeah, but it's I would say, and teenagers
Yeah.
and up, just in case
Young adult.
yeah, just in case you wanted to, you know, figure out if you wanted to watch it with your family. I would say it's teenager, young teenager and up. Not a lot of profanities or things like that. But there are those adult themes, and I think that's what drew me to the show, is to see what they would do with these characters in a story um, that would intrigue audiences. So we both think that it would be a great watch. So I hope you tag along with us.
Yeah. Comment and let us know what you think and disagree with us, agree with us. So today we're going to be watching Once Upon a Time season 1, episodes 1 and 2, and that's what we're going to be kind of discussing. We're going to go through a synopsis and kind of throw in our comments along the way.
Yeah. So stay tuned, and we hope you enjoy.
And this, it will contain spoilers.
Yeah. Definitely will contain some spoilers for the show. So turn away if you don't want those spoilers, but we'll try to keep them mild.
Yeah.
But there are some spoilers that will hit. So, all right.
Okay. And I will try not to talk about things that happen in future episodes.
Mm.
I'll try really hard to keep to the episode we're on and not spoil anything from, like, we're on episode 1, season 1, and I'm talking about season 7.
Yeah.
I'm going to try really hard.
Yeah. When she gets going, she gets going.
Yeah. Especially about, well, when I get going anyway, but especially about this. So episode 1 of season 1, it's the pilot. It was aired October 23, 2011, and it had 12.93 million viewers. It was written by Adam Horowitz and Edward Kittis, and it was directed by Mark Malloy. The opening, we see Prince Charming riding to save Snow White from a sleeping curse. He's wearing the best red outfit. Like, I don't even know what the fabric is, but it is gorgeous. And I don't usually like men's outfits. I'm usually more paying attention to the women's and how great they look. But maybe the best outfit of a man's outfit in the show. We will debate that.
Yeah.
But I just think it's a great way to start. She's laying in a glass coffin. Absolutely gorgeous. I think this is probably the best rendition of Snow White's coffin that I've ever seen. The dwarves are hanging around her and, crying and upset. And he gets there. They tell him, it's too late. She's gone. There's no hope. And he, opens the coffin and he kisses her. Kisses what he thinks is her corpse. And so, like, we're jumping straight to necrophilia 2 minutes into a primetime show.
And hey, that's, you don't think about fairy tales, but fairy tales were often dark.
Yes.
And, just thinking about it, it's like, wow, that's
a little nasty.
it's a little different.
Yeah.
Necrophilia, but
Yeah.
but okay.
Obviously, we know she's not dead, but, like, in his mind, she's dead. And he's like, I don't care. I'm kissing her. It's good.
Now you guys think about that tomorrow at work.
While you're driving, just be like, yuck. So, after that happens, she wakes up and he asks her if she doubts that he was going to find her. And she was like, well, the glass coffin kind of gave me pause, but we're good now. We jump to their wedding. She's wearing an absolutely gorgeous white dress. I love, 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 love her dress. Her hair, though, is horrible. I don't know why. It's just, I hate it. I hate it so much. What do you think about her hair in that scene?
It's, it's like a modified beehive, and
Yeah.
and for our younger viewers who may not know what a beehive haircut is, they were big
In the 80s?
No, they were big like later or earlier than that. I should
Oh,
say.
like in the 70s?
In the 50s and 60s.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So
That's where the beehive came from.
I'm young.
Yeah. So, and basically it kind of just, wrapped around, and, you had a little bit of height to it.
And then it like stopped at a
And
point.
that kind of stopped at a point. And
It looked like a beehive sitting on your head.
And that's what gave it its name.
And it's ugly. It's so ugly.
I don't think it's that bad, but
Hers is kind of like split in the middle and comes around. So it's not like a traditional beehive, but it's so bad. But her dress looks great. While they're in their vows and they're getting married, the evil queen crashes the wedding. Comes in looking absolutely phenomenal. Like, they could not have dressed her better as the evil queen. She comes in, she tells them, I'm going to give you this day and I'm going to work on destroying your happiness. I'm going to be the one that gets my happiness. And then she's going to destroy their happiness if it's the last thing she does. She turns to leave. Not Snow White, Charming, throws a sword at her and she disappears in smoke. So it doesn't hit her. Then we jump into modern day Boston. We see a young boy that's making his way through town alone with a credit card and a large book of fairy tales. A big book of fairy tales. Almost like comically big in his arms.
Yeah.
Because he's so small.
Yeah. He's so small and the book is so big.
Yeah.
But he's toting it around.
Yeah. He's passionate about this book. Meanwhile, while he's exploring the city and looking for whatever he's looking for, a blonde woman, is entering a restaurant. She's there for a blind date, and she very pathetically tells her blind date that it's her birthday and that she has no family and has no friends, which is sad. He then calls her the sexiest, friendless orphan that he's ever met, because apparently that's a compliment these days. It's then revealed that she's actually a bail bonds person, and he has skipped bail. He flips the table, runs. She gives chase, and it reminds me of Jason from Friday the 13th, how slow she's cool. She's actually booted his car, so she's got no worries. She then arrives home, and she gets a cupcake and a lone candle, just a blue star candle. It's a star, which is kind of a throwback to the Blue Fairy from Pinocchio. She lights the cupcake. She makes a wish, and as she's making a wish, her doorbell goes off, and she opens the door to see this young boy that we saw a little bit earlier. And he immediately introduces himself as Henry, the son that she gave up for adoption 10 years prior. She lets him in, goes into the bathroom, has a little bit of a freak out, kind of. She comes out. They're talking. He asks her to go to Storybrooke, which is his hometown, which is a great name for the town. And he tells her, well, if you call the police, I'm just going to tell them that you kidnapped me, and they'll believe me because you're my birth mother. And she was like, that, yeah, they would. But she tells him that she has a gift, a superpower, if you will, that she can tell when anyone is lying to her. And he's good, but she knows that he's not going to do that. He asked her again to take him home to Storybrooke, Maine, And she agrees, without giving much thought to what she's leaving, which kind of tells me that she doesn't really like her place in life. Um, and then we shoot back to the past. We see a pretty heavily pregnant Snow White begging her husband to let her talk to a wizard who can guarantee their child's safety. She's really upset, really fearful of what the evil queen has planned, and is scared for the safety of their child, of them and their child. He very reluctantly agrees. He does not like this plan. They go down because they have him in their jail cell. They go down there, and while they're approaching the cell, Rumpelstiltskin drops down from the ceiling, looking the perfect amount of scaly imp. Like, and he plays it so well. He perfect. He already knows exactly what they want. He already knows exactly who they are. And he tells them, well, I'll give you the answers that you want, but you have to give me the name of your unborn child. Because that's not a super weird request. That Snow White immediately agrees to. She has no problem. And she doesn't really think about what he wants the name for. She just, okay, give us the answers and we'll give you anything you want. He tells them that the queen has created a powerful curse that will put them all in a prison where time will stop and everything that they hold dear will be ripped away. That they can't do anything to stop this. There is nothing they can do. The child that she's carrying is their only hope. And she will come back and rescue them on her 28th birthday, which to me at first was a super weird age for a prophecy, but the maths. Like, it adds up. If you think that they wanted Henry to be 10, they didn't want to fall too deep into scandalous teenage pregnancy. So, okay, she had him when she was 18, so she'll come when she's 28. Still a super odd age. Like, not 30, not 35, 28. In exchange, Snow tells him that her daughter's name will be Emma. And then we cut to a war room where Charming, Snow, and the War Council discuss how to stop the curse. The Blue Fairy, who is, and Quasi will agree with me, the worst villain of the show.
Yes. Without a doubt, the Blue Fairy will just disgust you with how she acts and the things that she does to other characters in the show. So you will definitely hear me ranting when we get to the very end.
And the middle.
In the middle. I might save all my bile until the end of the show when we're talking about, a wrap up and everything. We'll talk about this, but put a pin in the Blue Fairy.
Yes, she is truly infuriating with almost everything she does. Almost everything she does. Well, she comes in, flies in, and tells them that they found a magic tree, which, when formed into a wardrobe, can carry only one person to safety. She looks to Geppetto and his son Pinocchio, and they agree to make it.
Now, one thing that you may notice right now as Gabby's going through is not only do we have Disney characters in a fairy tale world.
The Enchanted Forest is what it's called.
Yep. They're also in present day. So they are certainly using time as a device, but I don't want to let that stop you from enjoying the show. There are a lot of shows that mess with time, and a lot of actors are in this show. It's definitely an ensemble cast.
Yes.
And a lot of times with other sitcoms or dramas, you can get lost. But I found that the time device works.
Yes.
You don't get lost. kudos to the writers. They, you know, present the story in modern times and in the fairy tale world very well, and they make sure to carry the viewers with them. So you'll see this device throughout the series.
Yes. The timing goes. They do the modern day current timeline of what's currently going on weekly, and then they jump back in flashbacks. But the flashbacks always have something to do with what's going on now, or some kind of backstory that you need, or some information that is necessary to understand completely what's going on and why it's such a big deal. So we jump back to present day. Henry and Emma are on their way to Storybrooke in her beetle. She has a yellow bug, which is, I love this bug. If I could get this bug, I would, especially because it's yellow, which is my favorite color ever. But she's driving her yellow bug. He's sitting in the passenger seat with her. And he's telling her that every story in his book, the big book of fairy tales, is real. It really happened. And that she's going to fix all of his problems, which is a tremendous amount of pressure to put on a stranger.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
When they arrive in Storybrooke, Henry tells they stop in the middle of the road because he won't tell her his address. She gets out of the car. She's angry, kicks the car. And Henry gets out and tells her that time is frozen in Storybrooke, apparent by the clock tower that's stuck at 8:15. And that his mother, the evil queen, has everyone trapped in town. They cannot leave. When anyone tries to leave, bad things happen at the edge of town. They can't cross this like invisible line. Archibald Hopper, Archie, Henry's therapist, who's also Jiminy Cricket, approaches with his dog Pongo.
Which also makes him Roger.
Yep, from 101 Dalmatians. The show doesn't confirm that, but it makes sense with how many characters the other people play. Like there's people that are multiple fairy tale characters merged into one.
There are many Easter eggs and
many Easter eggs.
And we found the Pongo reference to be a deep cut. So for those of you who are veterans of classic Disney movies, you'll pick up on a lot of these references, and it's fun.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was intentional or if they were just like, we're going to have a Dalmatian, and what else would we name them but Pongo, the name of the most famous Dalmatian in Disney. So he comes and they're talking, and Archie tells Emma where Henry lives, and then kind of drops on her that he happens to be the son of the mayor of town, which Emma is not fond of that idea. But she thanks him, gets him home. When they arrive at the home, Regina Mills, the evil queen, bursts out the front door with followed by Sheriff Graham. She's asking where Henry's been, if he's okay. Henry tells her he's found his real mom and runs into the house super dramatically, like classic preteen coded behavior. Regina offers Emma a drink, brings her inside, thanks her for bringing Henry back, but explains to Emma that since becoming mayor, balancing things has been super tricky. That she pushes for order and she wants Henry to excel, and she asks her if that makes her evil. Emma says, "Oh, I'm sure that's just the fairy tale thing. He's got this like obsession with fairy tales, and I'm sure it's no big deal." Regina pretends she doesn't know what Emma's talking about, and then Emma's like, "Hey, he's your kid. It's not really my business. I'm gonna head out." And as Emma is driving out of town, she's coming up to the edge of town, and she realizes that Henry left his book in the car. She's looking at the book. She looks up into the road, and there is a wolf standing in the road, which I don't know if wolves are in Maine. Are wolves in Maine?
I don't know. I don't believe so.
Maybe someone from Maine let us know.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they're a common occurrence in Maine. But this wolf plays a decently big role. He's important. So she sees this wolf. She swerves to miss him and crashes into the Storybrooks welcome sign. We go back to the past to Snow White, who is now very, very, very heavily pregnant, complaining like a complete spoiled brat that she doesn't want to leave Charming and raise Emma alone. The plan is for the wardrobe to be built, and then Snow White, pregnant, to get into the wardrobe and be magically transported to safety, raise Emma, bring Emma to wherever they end up. Charming reassures her that everything will be fine. What's 28 years when you have eternal love? It's not going to be as big of a deal as she thinks it is. They kiss, and she immediately goes into labor. As she's realizing she's in labor, the curse comes over the mountains in the form of clouds of purplish smoke. Emma's born, and Snow tells Charming to put the baby in the wardrobe alone, that they have to believe she will come back for them. She says goodbye to her 5-minute-old newborn and gives her to Charming to send away. As Charming is headed to the wardrobe, which has just been finished, the Queen's Black Knights have invaded the castle, and they sword fight with Charming while he's holding the baby, which is amazing. Yeah. Like, amazing. I can't scroll on my phone and make mac and cheese at the same time. Like, to sword fight with an infant in your hands and actually like get away safely, amazing.
Yeah, quite impressive.
He gets away. He puts Emma in the wardrobe, closes the doors. The knights come in and stab him kind of in the kidney area, kind of. I was, right? Kidneys?
Yeah. Yeah.
I failed biology. So he falls to the floor and presumably dies. The knights immediately open the door to the wardrobe, and Emma has vanished. The last thing that Charming sees is he turns toward the wardrobe and is like, okay, she got away. She's safe. Whatever's going to happen, she is safe. And he goes comatose, basically. Snow, who looks amazing for just giving birth, finds Charming and is grabbing him and holding him and, really upset about it. The evil queen comes to gloat, tells her, we're going somewhere horrible. Everyone's happy ending is done. And the roof rips off the castle. And it's really nice to see. Like, not nice, but it's dramatic. It's a good scene. And you see like the wind whipping around and her just so happy that her curse was fulfilled. Back in present day, Emma wakes up at the police station locked up next to Leroy, the local drunk. While Leroy is being a little bit mean, he's very, very grumpy, but it makes sense because he actually is grumpy. The dwarf. He's kind of being mean, and there's the handyman who works at the police station named Marco, who tells Leroy to be nice, and then tells Emma he's glad that she's back in Henry's life and children are a blessing, and then tells her that him and his wife tried for many years and weren't able to have one. But Marco is Geppetto, who has Pinocchio. So their relationship is non-existent in this world. Wherever Pinocchio is, he's not Geppetto's son. And Geppetto has no memory of him. Graham, the sheriff, lets Leroy out of his cell and then suggests to Emma that Regina's drinks are, in fact, strong. And Emma insists there was a wolf in the road. I wasn't drunk. I was swerving to not kill a wolf. Which Graham is like, oh, okay. Sure, you're drunk. Regina walks in looking for Graham because Henry has ran away again. Emma offers to help find him because she's a bailiff's bondsman. That's what she does. She finds people. She's like, hey, I can help you find him if you let me out. They let her out. They go to Regina's house. She hacks into Henry's computer and finds the website that he used to find her. And then he tracks the name of the credit card he used to marry Margaret Blanchard, who is Henry's teacher, but she's also Snow White with a horrible haircut. Horrible haircut. They head to the school where they confront Mary Margaret about her credit card being missing, and she didn't realize it was missing because apparently she takes great care in her finances. She says she should have never given him the book. She's the one that gave him the book. And that he's a very special but very, very lonely child. And that she felt that he needed it. Regina says he needs a dose of reality. And tells Emma to have a nice trip to Boston. And charges out of the room, knocking books off the desk. And Emma helps Mary Margaret pick up the books. And she asks why, like, what is a book supposed to do for him? Mary Margaret explains that the classics offer hope. Hope is a big thing in this series. She says that Henry had a very rough life and he wrestles with why he was given away, and tells Emma to check Henry's castle for him, which Emma does find Henry at his castle. It's a big wooden play structure, kind of the 90s wooden play structures.
Yeah.
Were they around in the 80s and 70s?
Yeah.
But it's a big wooden play structure. And she sits down next to him. She gives him the book. Henry says she is there to bring back all the happy endings. And that she doesn't have to feel guilty for giving him away because he knows that she gave him away to give him his best chance. Because that's the same reason Snow gave her away. Emma tells him, hey, I'm not in any book. I'm not a savior. But he is right. She wanted him to have his best chance, but his best chance is not with her. They then debate kind of whose life sucks worse. And I don't think she talks to children on a regular basis in her life. Because she kind of trauma dumps on him because she was left on the side of a freeway as a baby. They reconcile. They go back to the house. Regina thanks Emma for bringing Henry back again. Emma tells her about her birthday wish. She said, it was my birthday and I made this wish not to be alone on my birthday, and Henry showed up. Regina gets super defensive. Says, you have no right to Henry. You made a decision 10 years ago and you need to leave or she will destroy her, which is a wild thing to say in Maine when you have no magic. There is no magic in town. They went to a very small town and it's just non-existent. And then Regina shuts the door in Emma's face and immediately takes Henry's book. Mary Margaret tends to her duties as a hospital volunteer because she's perfect. And why would she not be a hospital volunteer? She's leaving flowers on the bedsides of patients, including a coma patient, John Doe. He's unknown to everyone. No one has picked him up, who is in reality Prince Charming. Emma decides to stick around Storybrooke, and she gets a room at Granny's Inn. It's like a little bed and breakfast. While she's there getting her room, Mr. Gold, who owns the town, comes to collect the rent. When he hears Emma's name, he's woken from the curse and remembers his previous identity as Rumpelstiltskin. He says her name an odd amount of times. Like, he makes up reasons to say her name. I think maybe to, like, reconfirm, or maybe he got more of his memories as he was saying her name. I'm not 100% sure why he was so big on saying her name, but he says her name like 3-4 times. Granny gives her the keys to her room, which have a swan. Her name is Emma Swan, so it's kind of a cute little throwback. She gives her the keys to her room and welcomes her to Storybrooke. And then we see the clock tower. The clock tower ticks to 8:16, which kind of signifies that time is going to start moving now that she's decided to stay. Whether she stays long term or not, time is going to move now.
Yeah, and the show ends with Henry looking out the window and seeing the clock tower activate and move, and a big smile
Huge.
comes across his face. And
Yes.
and that is the first episode.
I think that reconfirms to him that the curse is real. Um, he has no doubt. He has no doubt that the curse is real. But I think when he sees the clock tower tick, he's like, okay, now I know it's going that way to being broken.
Um, and overall, with the episode, I believe that it set up the story pretty well. It gives some intrigue to the viewer. The time device, as I mentioned before, is in place. But one of the things that I was always curious about was, of course, the evil queen told Snow White and Prince Charming that they would go to a horrible place. And the curse takes them to a small town in Maine. So, you know, it might disappoint you because if you're expecting, some cataclysmic place where these characters are sent off to, that is not the case. Instead, you get a twist and they're in a small town with amnesia.
That they
So,
can't leave.
so I found that interesting because it really um, messes with your perceptions of the show. So you're thinking one thing, you're led to believe one thing, and then you get something different. Um, so I appreciated that about the show. Um, the acting was solid. You know, I believe that Emma was sincere in, being flabbergasted that her son that she gave up for adoption would find her and she would find herself in this, strange place. So I enjoyed it. I think the pilot did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I also, to be fair about the small town, you grew up in the city, so you don't have experience with small towns. I grew up in a very small town, and it is horrible. It is someplace horrible. Like she nailed it. You might have thought, brimstone and fire and all of that, but it's horrible to live in a small town. Like that totally made sense to me. And so in the scene before they go and see Rumpelstiltskin, Snow White is explaining to Prince Charming that the queen is very hard to predict. She's very unpredictable. And that she poisoned an apple because she thought Snow was prettier than her. Which, a little bit of foreshadowing, is a lie. You find out later that she has legitimate reasons for being evil. So I just found that as I don't know if the writers didn't know where the story was going to go when they wrote that, or if they just put it in to kind of like mess with people and have them think the queen is evil for no reason, and then you find out there's a huge reason. Also, when Rumpelstiltskin dropped down from the ceiling of the cell, that was actually the actor Robert Carlyle's idea. He thought that it would add to the character, and I think it does. He's very hyper, very manic, very completely different than what he is as Mr. Gold. Mr. Gold is very calm, very pristine, suits, cane, all of that. Where Rumpelstiltskin is crazy. Like you can see that there's something wrong with him. Prince Charming was originally supposed to die in the show, but the writers wanted Snow White to have a chance at her happy ending, and felt that killing Prince Charming would kind of like, where do you go from here? If they're the main characters of the show and he dies, what's the story? She'll never get her happy ending, and they'll never be reunited. So I found that funny, and I don't know where the story would have went if they killed Prince Charming.
Yeah, that's a very interesting thought to see what of course, we know how the story unfolds,
Mhm.
but I believe that maybe the writers, having a change of thought, maybe one of them in the writers' room said, hey, we're we're going to bring up happy endings because in the show, happy endings aren't mentioned. It's something that's going to come and become more important as the season progresses.
Mhm.
I just think that maybe they wrote themselves into a corner and realized that taking Charming out of the story leaves out the possibility of happy endings and reunifications.
Right. And the queen's original idea was to take away she's going to take away everyone's happy ending, but her motivation is to take away Snow and Charming's.
Yes.
If you kill Charming, she's succeeded and there is no you can break the curse, but there's no ending to the original motivation cuz she's won.
Yeah.
So I found that interesting. In one of the scenes in the episode, Mary Margaret receives a pear from a student because she doesn't like apples. Mary Margaret doesn't know why she doesn't like apples, but she does not like apples. That was Snow White's actress Jennifer Goodwin's idea, and I think that shows a great understanding of the character.
Yeah. And also, it throws back to that prior scene where the evil queen offers,
She says the evil queen
Yeah.
had offered her an apple.
an apple. And you then see Regina offering an apple to Emma.
And that's the second episode.
And that's,
That's the second
I'm
episode.
jumping ahead of myself. So you'll see some of those parallels.
Yep. To be fair, I said I wasn't going to go ahead. You didn't make any promises.
Yeah,
I said
didn't.
I would try not to skip ahead.
Yeah.
Another thing is originally Mr. Gold was not supposed to be in the first episode. His scene at the end was added after the show creators fell in love with his counterpart Rumpelstiltskin. And Robert Carlyle is truly a character actor. He is amazing. I have best actor on the show. I'm going to say it now. Best actor on the show. Not that anybody did a bad job, but he takes it a step ahead, like a step up every time. And he really dominates any scene he's in. I feel. So, anything else to say about season 1?
No.
Or
no.
series 1? No. Episode 1.
the
Episode
pilot.
1.
Yeah. We got it. Yeah. No. I think we're good. I think we can move on.
Okay. So the next episode, episode 2, is called The Thing You Love the Most. It was aired October 30th, 2011, with 11.74 million viewers. It was written by Adam Horowitz and Edward Kittis, again. I believe they write the entire show. And it was directed by Greg Beeman. It begins with Regina looking through Henry's book that she's taken, and she notices pages have been ripped out of kind of the back of it. She confronts Henry, who completely blows her off about it. He's like, it's an old book. Pages are missing. Why do you care? As he's blowing her off, the clock tower chimes, letting Regina know that time has begun to creep forward. So Regina shows up at Emma's door at the inn, which Emma answers without pants on, which, like, I just don't understand it. Why would you not put some sweats on? Like, you're answering a door. But she shows up at Emma's door with a basket of what she calls Honeycrisp apples. But Quasi has a rant about this.
Yes. Well,
So go ahead.
those of us who love apples and whose favorite apple happens to be Honeycrisp, you will immediately notice that the apples in Regina's basket were Red Delicious apples, not Honeycrisp apples. And I just had to say something about it. We're from Michigan. We love apples. I personally love all things apple, and I just had to point that out. But hey, I think it was just
Slip up.
a slip up. It was just funny, but
Yeah. It
But-
irritated him.
but
He was
it
like,
did
those
irritate
aren't Honey Crisp. I know a Honey Crisp when I see one. And I was like, it's an apple. I'm not an apple person. I'm a pumpkin person. He's the apple person, and he knows. So she shows up with this basket of red delicious apples and offers them to Emma for her drive home. Emma thanks her first and informs her she's going to stay around for a while. Regina gets super defensive again and says, any problems Henry has are being taken care of in therapy. She doesn't need to stick around. And she tells her not to underestimate her because Emma has no idea what she's capable of. Which, I mean, being the mayor, you have a certain amount of influence over everything in town. So I think that was more what she was threatening and not magic. I hope.
Well, yeah. The viewers will see that Regina will go through extreme lengths to get what she wants.
Yes.
And as we go back in time, you'll see what we mean by the lengths that she'll go.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. So I think she just means that she'll make life really hard for Emma.
Yep. So we go back in time, and the evil queen arrives at her dark castle. In the cloud of smoke, she kind of poofed from Snow and Charming's wedding in. And then the sword that Charming threw at her comes through the smoke as well and hits, I believe, a door. So it still didn't hit her. But I found that a little, like, a cool little throwback, like, so that she's coming from their wedding.
Yeah.
With the sword coming through as well. Her magic mirror asks her how she's going to accomplish her threat. This is a big threat. What are you going to do? She says the dark curse. Not a dark curse, the dark curse. And the magic mirror and her father, who's kind of like her butler, I guess.
Yeah.
Her helper.
He acts more like an attendant.
Yeah.
Like he's noble,
Mm-hmm.
and he tries to attend to the evil queen's needs, but also tries to be the voice of reason.
Yes. Yep. And I didn't realize that was her father at first. It's kind of, you see him as an attendant, but it's not really said that he's also her father. But they immediately get worried. The magic mirror and her father immediately are like, you shouldn't do that. That's too far. That's too much. So they know what this dark curse is. She has traded the dark curse away to Maleficent for a sleeping curse. The sleeping curse that she put Snow White under that we seen broken in the first episode. So she heads to the Forbidden Fortress. The queen sits with Maleficent and insists she returns the dark curse. Maleficent says even the dark curse is not going to bring back a loved one from the dead. And she asks the queen if the queen has considered getting a pet while she's stroking a baby unicorn. A not very realistic baby unicorn. Like, it's a pony. But
Well, I want one.
you want a pony with a horn?
Yes.
That's fair. 5-year-old me would have loved it, especially if it was pink. That was my favorite color when I was 5. But she's stroking this baby unicorn, and the queen throws a temper tantrum, throws a fireball at Maleficent. Maleficent dodges it, and then there are weapons, like old school weapons, on the wall as decorations. And she magically pulls these weapons off the wall, and she has them pointed at Maleficent. But then she points them at the unicorn. And Maleficent jumps in and saves the unicorn. She blocks it. Everything's fine. But she loses her staff in the process. And the curse is held in a glass ball on top of her staff. And the queen knows this.
And now in that scene, you discover that the motivation for this dark curse is a lost love.
Mm-hmm.
So now we know the evil queen's intentions are based on that. So that's an important scene.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very important. Um, After that, the queen stands in front of a council of villains, and she asks for a lock of hair from each one of them, promising them that if they help her cast the curse, they will get their happy endings. Um, Everyone adds their hair. They all think it's a great idea. The queen adds the last ingredient, the heart of her. That's our cat, right there. The heart of her prize steed as her childhood horse. She throws it into the fire. The smoke blooms, and then it fizzles out. The queen then sneaks into the prison that Rumpelstiltskin's being held in as a mouse. She's a mouse. She transforms herself back into the queen when she's in front of his cell. She asks why the curse didn't work, which tells you that she did not create the curse. He said she created the curse. She did not create the curse. Otherwise, she wouldn't need his help because she would know how to cast it.
Right.
He says there's a price for the information. There is always a price with him. He never does anything without getting something back. He says, I'll tell you, but there's a price for the information. I want comfort in this new land. I want peace. I want a good life in this new land. And that I want you to heed my every request as long as I say please. She agrees, knowing that if her curse is successful, he's not going to remember. She knows that it's going to take away his memory. He's not going to remember anything. So she's sure, okay. Tells him what she did. You know, I did this. I sacrificed my prize steed. He grabs her throat through the bars and gets in her face and is like, this is the curse to end all curses. A horse, like you sacrificed a horse for this huge life-changing curse. That's not going to do it. You have to sacrifice the thing you love the most. You know what you love. Go kill it.
Rumpelstiltskin is menacing.
Yes.
And this is the versatility of Robert Carlyle in the role. He just seems to go from this, whimsical imp to a very menacing presence instantly.
Yeah.
Instantly. So, and it, of course, startled, maybe scared.
Yeah.
The evil
Regina's
queen.
like, whoa.
Yeah, what
I
is
thought my
this?
steed was good.
Yeah, what is going on here? And this remarkable change of personality was entertaining to watch.
Sorry. Go ahead, baby.
No, I'm okay.
Oh, you were done? Okay. So we're back in present time. The magic mirror in his human form, Sidney Glass, comes around the corner of Regina's garden and proudly shows his latest article in the paper. He's a journalist. And tells her that he hasn't really dug up any dirt on Emma, but he has found out that she gave birth in jail. But after that, like, she had gotten into a little trouble, grew up in the system, went to jail, gave birth in jail, and then after that, she's clean. She moved around a lot, but she hasn't done anything. Regina's upset. She says, this has no value to me, meaning you have no value to me, and things that have no value to me get thrown away. Sidney immediately backs up and, okay, I'll dig harder. I will find something on her. Walks away. And then we see Emma in the diner, Granny's diner. She has the inn and then she has the diner. She's reading the paper about herself.
Yeah, it's not a trip. It's
Yeah.
reading the headline that she's a menace.
Yeah, the headline is she hit the Storybrooke sign. That's the dirt he dug up. She hit the Storybrooke sign. So she's reading this article, and Ruby, which is Granny's granddaughter, who is very scantily dressed, all the time, comes over and gives her hot cocoa with cinnamon. And the hot cocoa with cinnamon is an important thing in, it shows the connection between everybody. Emma thanks her, but says, I didn't order this, you know. And Regina says, well, or not Regina, Ruby says, well, it was sent. And Emma looks around and sees Graham. Walks over to him with the cocoa, puts it down, says, hey, I appreciate the gesture. And I'm impressed that you know that I like cinnamon on my hot cocoa. Not many people do. But I'm not here to flirt. I am not here to get into anything. So, like, thank you, but no thank you. Graham tells her he didn't send it. Henry pops up from a booth and says he sent it. He likes cinnamon on his hot cocoa, too. And asks her to walk him to school. While they are walking, he tells her all about his plan of Operation Cobra. It's his plan to defeat the queen and break the curse. He tells her that everyone's past is a haze to them, that they don't remember who they were. He tells her that his mom doesn't know who she is. They have an advantage right now. She doesn't know who Emma is. That he took the last pages out of the book, the pages with Emma in it, and he shows them to her. And he tells her, take them, read them, but don't let Regina have them. They're very, very, very dangerous. Don't let Regina see them. When they approach the school, Emma is stopped by Mary Margaret. Emma asks how Regina became mayor in the first place because she's so unlikable and mean and selfish, and like what did people see in her that they voted for her? And Mary Margaret says that Regina's been mayor as long as she can remember, that she's inspires a lot of fear and no one ran against her. She's won by default this whole time, which is kind of a throwback to when Regina told Emma that since becoming mayor, things have been tricky, kind of implying that she has just became mayor. And then Mary Margaret says she's been mayor the whole time. So I found that an interesting little thing. So Emma asks who Henry thinks Mary Margaret is, and she kind of laughs and it's silly, and she tells her he thinks she's Snow White, which Emma knows that he thinks Snow White is her mother, so she knows that that's a connection that Henry has made. But I truly believe that at this point Emma doesn't buy into any of this. Like, she's pretending she buys into it, but she doesn't believe that Mary Margaret's her mother. Like, she just doesn't. Emma then asks where to find the therapist, Archie, which Mary Margaret tells her. And when she arrives at Archie's office, Emma asks what's going on with Henry. Why does he act like this? What's going on in his head? And she calls his fantasies crazy. Archie warns Emma that destroying his belief system, this is how he communicates. And destroying that belief system would be devastating to him. And he offers Emma Henry's entire file. She immediately takes it, walks out, and as soon as she is out the door, he calls Regina and tells Regina that she stopped by and he gave her the file.
Now, for those of you who are nerdy, you would ask yourself, why would a therapist who is bound to have secrecy when it comes to the clients be so willing to give up the file of one of his patients?
Yeah.
So, hey, I believe that's a HIPAA violation.
Yeah, and she didn't ask for it. He offered it.
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't even like, hey, can I look through the file? He's like, here, take it. It's all good. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
So Emma is sitting in her room at Granny's, reading through the files, when Graham knocks on the door and arrests her for stealing files. Archie has told Graham that she broke in and stole them after confronting him, and they got into a little verbal tiff, and she left, came back, and stole the files, which obviously didn't happen. Regina then shows up at Henry's school and tells him that Emma has been arrested, that she's looking for information on them, and she's here to hurt them. And Henry's like, well, I don't believe you. You're not my mom, and walks away. Henry and Mary Margaret, after school, go to the police station, and Emma's being booked. And as she's being booked, she's telling Graham, I didn't do this. You know I didn't do this. Why are you, like, who are you working for? Henry calls her a genius for gathering intel for Operation Cobra. And Mary Margaret bails her out and says, well, I trust you. That's why I'm bailing you out. Emma immediately goes to Regina's prized Red Delicious apple tree and cuts the branches off it. Regina hears the chainsaw, comes out. What are you doing? Oh my gosh. And Emma's like, hey, don't come at me. If you come at me, I'm coming after you. And tells her that she has no idea what Emma is capable of. And that the next shot she throws, that Regina throws, she's coming back for the rest of the tree. Emma goes to the inn. She's about to unlock the door of her room, and Granny stops her, telling her, you need to leave. There's a city ordinance for there's no felons. You can't stay here. You can pack your things, but I need your key back. You can't stay here. Which the mayor's office had called and reminded her about the city ordinance. And then you see Regina picking up the apples from the ground, and Graham is there. And she tells Graham, I want her arrested. She damaged city property. This is ridiculous. Graham tells her, if this escalates, you are going to hurt her. She is going to hurt you. But the person that's going to get hurt the most is Henry. He's the one that's going to suffer the most, which kind of makes Regina back up and think about it a little bit. She calls Emma and says, hey, I want to make amends. Can you come to my office? She shows up at the office, and Regina starts the meeting by apologizing. And then she manipulates Emma into saying that the curse is crazy, just as Henry is walking into the doorway behind Emma. Emma doesn't see him. Henry, is like, you think I'm crazy, and runs away, which is another completely preteen coded act. He runs away a lot. Emma's devastated, absolutely devastated, and asks Regina if she knew he was going to be there. And Regina kind of sits back and crosses her legs and is like, well, of course I knew he was going to be here. He shows up every Thursday at 5 p.m. so I can take him to dinner before his therapy session. I'm his mother. Thoughts?
I love it. This is the cat fights that I grew up watching with my mother
On soap operas?
and grandmother on soap operas. This is just some of the soapiest stuff, but it's kind of irresistible. So, but I got such pleasure from Emma cutting down
The tree.
the tree branch. And I'm like, well, how in the world can she just find a chainsaw and just...
Yeah, no idea where she found a chainsaw in town.
Yeah, but she got one, and
She probably borrowed it from Geppetto.
probably,
Or Marco.
maybe so, but I find the battle of wits and wills
Yes.
between Emma and Regina intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
And this triangle that exists between Henry and his two mothers is also intriguing, as he's trying to, undo, Regina, the evil queen's curse, with the help of his mom, who sent him to be adopted all those years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, the stakes are higher.
Are high.
And we're seeing that in these last couple scenes.
Mm-hmm. I also like, which is kind of wrong for me to like it, because I know what it's like. I have children. I know what it's like for my children to not like me right now. But I love the difference in how he looks at Emma versus Regina. Like, he cannot stand Regina. Henry closely hates Regina. Like, he does not like her. He does not care what she says. He does not care what she does. He's going to do his own thing. And he adores Emma immediately. There's a connection there immediately. Like, I don't think she even really questions if he's her son. Which, if a kid showed up at my door and was like, hey, I'm the son you gave away, I want a DNA test. Like, I just to make sure, unless you stole my face and you look exactly like me. I would want proof that's the truth. But she just automatically believes it and automatically has this pull to come with him and protect him and stay with him. And I think that's really interesting. That it seems like she has almost a motherly instinct that Regina doesn't.
Right. And it's an endearing quality
Yes.
to have because, as you said, it's kind of artificial. I won't say artificial because we're going to see some things later on with Regina and her motivations.
Mm-hmm.
But she certainly has to work harder. And I think there's immediate jealousy on Regina's part because winning Henry's affections was so easy for Emma.
Yeah.
And I believe that she truly wants the kind of relationship that's burgeoning between Henry and his birth mother.
Mm-hmm.
And she needs Emma gone.
Yeah. She wants that relationship. I think that she truly loves Henry, but I think she doesn't quite know how to love Henry.
That's a good way to put it.
She doesn't resonate with Henry the way Emma does. And I don't know if that's a, birth mother versus adoptive mother, like genetic type pull. But I think Emma thinks I don't think Emma knows whether Regina truly loves Henry or if she sees Henry kind of as an accessory. And it's like, I have a son, but do you really love your son or do you love the idea of your son? I think is what Emma is kind of thinking.
Yeah, well said.
So we bounce back to the castle, in the Enchanted Forest, and the queen's father asks if Rumpelstiltskin told her what she needed to do. And she tells him she needs to cut out the heart of the thing she loves the most. Her father immediately panics because he knows that that's him. And he begs, you don't have to do this. You don't have to enact the curse. We can be happy. We can go somewhere and start a new life. And she hugs him. And she says, I think you're right. I think I can be happy. But I can't be happy here. And she apologizes as she rips his heart out, killing him. She rips his heart out. She goes to the council. There's no one there, though. She goes to the same place, and she throws her father's heart into the fire, releasing her curse. Then she goes to her father's grave and tells him, I'm so sorry. I love you. You see his grave, and you see that his name is Henry. So she named Henry after the father that she murdered.
Now, this is where I say that this isn't the Disney that you're expecting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the second episode, the evil queen has murdered her own father. And I was stunned.
And she manipulated someone to devastate him.
Yes. Yes.
Like, she's not a good person.
Yes. This was a jaw-dropping moment for me. And I was like, Disney's letting this happen on ABC? Are we killing people now?
And I think the interesting thing is, like, with the original fairy tales, one, they're very dark. The originals are very, very dark. The reimagining to make them for kids, they imply evilness. They imply that, the evil queen will do anything, but they don't flat out show it. Like, this isn't implying that she's evil. This is proving that she's evil. And I think that's interesting that they took the step further. They didn't imply she killed her father. They showed you. So I thought that was interesting. And I'm a horror fan, so I loved it. So he was devastated. I loved it. So back to the story. Emma in Storybrooke shows up to Mary Margaret's door to thank her for bailing her out and to give her back the money. Mary Margaret invites her in, says, hey, it looks like you need to talk. And Mary Margaret gives Emma cocoa with cinnamon on it. And Emma's like, oh, I that's great. I love my cocoa this way. And Mary Margaret's like, oh, I should have asked. Like, that's just a little quirk of mine. And Emma's like, oh, absolutely. No, you're totally good. I love it this way. And they're talking, and Emma asks Mary Margaret why she said she trusted her when she bailed her out. And Mary Margaret says, well, since you showed up, I just have this feeling like we've met before. And I don't know. I feel like I trust you. And Emma is like, well, that's great, but I'm going to leave. Like, I messed this up with Henry. Henry's never going to want to talk to me. He's never going to come to me again. Like, she's devastated. And Mary Margaret looks at her and is like, well, what happens if you leave? Like, you can leave, but what happens if you leave? Who's going to protect Henry if you leave? Changes Emma's perspective immediately. The next scene, you see Emma going to Henry's therapy session where he is upset. He is not talking. Archie has a cane, and he asks Henry, is that why you think I'm Jiminy Cricket because of my, or not cane, umbrella? Is that why you think I'm Jiminy Cricket because I carry an umbrella? And Henry puts the umbrella down and says, I don't think you're anyone anymore. This has shattered his belief system to find out this person that he admires so much doesn't believe him and thinks he's crazy. She shows up and he's like, I don't want to talk to you. And she's like, hey, just listen. The curse is crazy, but there are a lot of crazy things in this world. Being crazy doesn't mean it's not true. I read the pages that he had ripped out. I read them. And I know that they're dangerous. They're super dangerous. And there's only one way to make sure Regina doesn't see them. And she throws them into the fireplace. And Henry's attitude immediately changes. He's totally in love with Emma. You're on my side. You understand me. Everything is reconciled. They hug. It's a really cute scene.
Operation Cobra is back.
Operation Cobra is back on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Emma's getting better with kids because she was not a kid person in the first episode. She didn't know how to really talk to them. She didn't know how to, well, with Henry, because like Henry's the only kid in town so far. Then the best scene of the episode happens, in my opinion. Not in everyone's, but in my opinion. The last scene, Mr. Gold approaches Regina at her apple tree and says, oh, I'm so happy to see you in such good spirits. And Regina's like, well, yeah, I rid the town of a nuisance today. I'm sure Emma's halfway to Boston by now. And Mr. Gold's like, well, I wouldn't be so sure about that because I just saw Emma and Henry walking down Main Street, and they seemed best buds. And he tells Regina, if you can't make this work, I can help you for a price. You should have came to me to make a deal and to help you with Emma. And Regina's like, hey, I'm not in the business of making deals with you anymore. Rumpelstiltskin asks, what deal do you mean? And Regina's like, or Rumpelstiltskin is like, what deal do you mean? What, finding Henry for you? Is that the deal you mean? Because he now remembers all of the deals they've ever made. And she said, you didn't find Henry on accident. You set this up. Who is Emma? Who is she? He kind of looks at her and kind of smiles. And he's like, well, I think you know exactly who she is. And then he asks her to excuse him, please, making it very clear to Regina that he's awake. He knows everything. And he walks away, and he has an apple in his hand, and he walks away and throws the apple behind his back. It's a great scene. It's such a powerful scene. So what did you think of that scene?
Yeah, it was certainly a power move, and now again we're getting some clues about relationships and how far they go back, and what the relationships are like, and we're seeing that an old deal has come true, but we don't know how yet. Mm-hmm. So we know now that Mr. Gold remembers, he's awake, and he's probably the only one that's awake besides
Regina. Yeah, he
Regina.
is.
Yeah.
Regina was never under the curse.
Yep.
She knew the whole time what was going
What was
on.
going on?
Everyone else lost their memories and didn't know anything.
Now Henry's not from the Enchanted Forest, but has the sense to realize that this world isn't what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So um, it was a neat um, way to end the episode.
Yes.
Mr. Gold will continue to be a powerful force in the show,
Yes.
and now that he's awake, there's a lot more to see from him.
Very much so. Also, in the scene with Maleficent, Maleficent says Regina is the same age of Snow White now when she lost her love because of Snow White. This is untrue. They completely changed this later in the story. Regina was around 18 when she married King Leopold right after she lost her true love. And Snow was roughly 28, 29 when she marries Prince Charming. So I just found that it's almost like the writers don't know where they're going until they get there.
Yeah.
Not saying anything bad, but like they make a lot of little mistakes.
Yeah, they're working it through. You can tell they're not really worried about small continuity errors. But it's you'll pick up on it. Keen
Yeah.
viewers will pick up on that and say, that doesn't really make sense. But
Keen viewers are viewers that have watched it 10 million times like me. So, what did you think about the first two episodes?
I think they're great. I really do. Like I said, this isn't necessarily for kids.
Yeah.
This is a a complete reimagining of a lot of the fairy tales that we grew up with and Disney's original interpretation of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it was a risk, but I think it was a good risk. I mean, he had high viewership, and these first couple episodes have been pretty good. They keep you kind of guessing,
Mm-hmm.
and you're rooting for Henry. And I think the emotional heart of the show is Henry, and I think that watching Henry struggle so much,
Mm-hmm.
in a world that's not quite right, I honestly think that it's you could interpret it as a preteen trying to find you know his or her way in the world. Like, the world doesn't seem right to me. It doesn't fit. I don't know why or how, but in this case, Henry does know.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
He knows what's wrong.
we will find out later how Henry knows. And that's probably a question that you guys are all wondering. How does Henry know that this isn't right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's coming.
Yeah.
And I told.
Well, and to be fair, he's got this big book of fairy tales that aren't the original fairy tales. They're not like the normal fairy tales he's read before. And the illustrations look like the people in town. Like they legitimately look like the evil queen looks like his mom. The Snow White looks like his teacher. So I understand where he's like, okay, there's something wrong here, and then he's given a reason why it's wrong. And it makes sense, like, to a kid, the coincidences kind of add up, and he forms this belief.
Yeah. And I also, I told Gabby that, this is kind of, and we've mentioned it before, you know, part, you know, soap opera,
Mm-hmm.
part, you know, situational drama, right? But it's also kind of a whodunit, right? You're following Emma. Emma is a bail bondswoman, but she uses her skills, you know, finding, you know, felons who have skipped bail to solve mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going around town, and she's actually a detective, you know. So it's kind of a who done it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I like mysteries. So if you're like me, you'll appreciate that part of the show. And I did, and I still do. I enjoy watching the pieces fall together.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of the depth of the world building? Because I think the sets are amazing. The CGI sets are a little not amazing, but the Enchanted Forest is gorgeous. The castles are amazing. The library with the clock tower on it in Storybrooke, classic. Like I'm in love with the world building and the sets.
Yeah, I agree. And we mentioned using the time device going back and forth, but you can see both the Enchanted Forest and Storybrooke grow, each
Yeah,
episode. So you get to see more Storybrooke, you get to see more of the Enchanted Forest kind of at the same time.
mm-hmm.
So the world building is happening, at once. You get to see it in real time. And that's really cool. And like I said, kudos to the writers. The sets are beautiful. Storybrooke, Maine looks like, you know, a town you would shoot a Hallmark movie in.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really cool.
And I like that as we go through the seasons, Storybrooke gets bigger. You see more places, more environments in Storybrooke, and I never questioned it. Like I never questioned oh, this is just because of this in the story. It just made sense. The stuff they added just made sense for it to be in the town, and it actually turns into a not so small town.
Yeah, it does. It does grow.
So, what did you think of the wardrobe and the makeup?
Awesome. You know, I believe the costumes are amazing. Let's give it up for the evil queen
Oh my god,
because
she she looks amazing.
the villain has to be the sharpest person in the
Yes,
show,
the villain is always the best dressed.
always. So these immaculate dresses,
Mm-hmm.
you know, stunning to see. I believe they've dressed the the characters appropriately. Um, so you get to see um, contrast,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So Storybrooke, you see a Regina who's still dressed into the nines, right?
Right,
So
silk
she,
blouses,
silk blouses,
suits.
suits, high heels,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Very mayoral.
yeah, looking the part. And you know, you see the other characters looking their part as well. Um, and I believe that the makeup as well was spot on. The characters look good, and while you're in the story, it's believable.
Yeah, it is. And I like how the characters, obviously they're dressed different between the Enchanted Forest and Storybrooke, Maine. You're not going to see Regina wearing a low cut dress, skin tight, walking around with her hair all but it's very coded. Like you can imagine the evil queen dressing like Regina if she was in that situation. She's very slick, very, very put together. Where Mary Margaret is, kind of more flowery dresses, cardigans, kind of like that innocent vibe where that she had in the Enchanted Forest. So it's like the vibe didn't change, but the style of the clothes did, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I agree.
And the makeup is amazing. Like the makeup on Robert Carlyle for Rumpelstiltskin, on point.
Yes, and I know that had to be an ordeal.
Oh yeah,
for him.
He had to sit for hours. I'm sure
every time he had to suit up as Rumpelstiltskin, which makes me appreciate his performance all the more because he really, really brought Rumpelstiltskin
to
to
life. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can still see that cunning as Mr. Gold.
Mm-hmm.
So as we continue the season, you'll see that Rumpelstiltskin is the nexus for a lot of plot points.
He is in the middle of a lot. He's a pot stirrer.
Yeah.
Like he's in the middle of a lot of things. He's got his hands in a lot of places.
Yeah. But I think the acting, and so far, I would say that Regina, this cat fight between Regina and Emma, I believe they've acted it out well.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that Emma, is the classic person out of their element. Alice in Wonderlandish, where you've just come down a rabbit hole and you're off.
Right, and she comes from a big city, and she's going from a huge city to a small town. It's almost like when I took you to my hometown, and you were looking around, and you're like, what kind of shit is this? Like, you were just like, where, your gas station's closed? Our gas station's closed at 9. The sidewalks get rolled up at 9. Like, we're all hunkered down. We're asleep by 10. Nothing happens here. And he was kind of like, what is going on? Because it's a completely different environment.
Yeah, it is. But over time, you find its charms, and I think, Emma is.
I disagree.
I saw that. Emma is trying to solve a mystery, but I believe she's also kind of getting acclimated.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that she is deciding to stay in Storybrooke, shows you that, Henry, of course, has struck a chord with her.
Mm-hmm.
But the people that she's met, of course, Mary Margaret and others have made an impression on her.
Yes.
And she wants to be a part of something.
Mm-hmm.
And she's changing.
Right. And I think that is one perk of a small town is we live in a city now, and it's almost like you're invisible. People don't notice you, where you go to like a bigger store in a small town and the cashiers know you, the stock people know you, they know what brands you buy. I think that's kind of a nice part. You don't feel so invisible when you're in a small town. You feel very seen, which is sometimes a bad thing. But I think she wants to be a part of something, and she can't be a part of something in a big city. She hasn't found her place in a big city, where now she feels this connection she has with Mary Margaret, the connection she has with Henry, the little feud she has going on with Regina, the kind of weird, almost sexual tension she has with Graham.
Yeah.
I think she's like, hey, I could find my place here. I could be comfortable here. I also think she is genuinely, at this point, she is genuinely worried about Henry and this fairy tales thing. I think she's like, I gave my child up and he comes to me, which is a surprise, but he also comes to me with this wild, crazy story. And like, even if it's not real, I want to help him. I want to make sure that he's okay. Like, if he's okay, I can leave and be fine. But until he kind of lets go of this fairy tale thing, I can't leave him like this. Especially when he's not getting support from his mother in this area. Because according to her, she doesn't even know what she's talking about.
Right. It's the ultimate form of gaslighting. It certainly is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, who is your like top character right now? Like, not actor or actress, but like the character that has had the most impact on you so far.
So far, I would say it is probably Mary Margaret.
Really?
Yeah,
Why?
because of the book.
Oh, yes, she did kind of accidentally start all of it.
She started all this.
Yes.
And, how'd you get this book? And
She does explain how she got the book later.
yeah, and she gives this book to Henry and
Out of all the kids in school.
a lot of kids in school, and Henry has this feeling that something isn't right, and we're on an adventure. But
Right.
she started it.
Right, and I think she had really good intentions giving Henry the book. She really, she's seen this lonely, sad kid that didn't know his place, that didn't, I don't have a dad, I don't have many friends. My mom is, we're not connected like that. And she was like, I'll give him this book, and hopefully it'll help solve some of his problems. He'll understand some things about the world through this book. And I think she really, of all of her students, you know how teachers always have, I don't want to say their favorite student, but just a student that they vibe with more and connect with better. I think she really connects with Henry on a different level than maybe her other students.
Definitely. Now, what about you?
I gotta go with Rumpelstiltskin. I'm so intrigued by what is going on with him. What is going on with him? He's awake now, so is he gonna start manipulating things? Is he gonna try to wake up other people? Is he you know what I'm saying? It's so intriguing. And I'm also really intrigued with Regina. What, now that obviously she's been awake, but she's been awake. She has a son who's very close to figuring things out. And now she knows Rumpelstiltskin's awake. How does that change what she's doing?
Yeah. And I'm sure there's more to come.
Yep. Very much more to come.
Yeah.
So, thank you for spending time with us. Next week, we'll be watching Once Upon a Time Season 1, Episodes 3 and 4.
And I hope you will join us, and we'll talk to you then.
Bye.
Bye.